Hey beauties, good evening to you. Beautiful people. Sorry, I have a million and one topics that I want to actually talk about this evening. Let me see if I can start with this one. So I'm watching the news, and during the breaks I bought today's Gleaner and was reading it, and it says tough test for wholeness. Political commentator warns JLP leader must watch his back in quotations as internal tensions build. But I'm going to do that in another video. This one I'm going to talk about in light of the fact that our present commissioner, Major General, Anthony Anderson, Anthony Williams, Anthony Anderson contract is up at the end of this month, March 2024. His contract had begun in 2018 of said month, March 2018. So how many years that is? 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I know he was there for a little time. I thought he was the longest. But somebody said no, it was if it's not Owen Ellington, is what other big name one there is? Would be the longest. Maybe a year or two above him. While he's 6, the other one would be about 7 or 8. Anyway, so different people were interviewed and asked the question, what they thought, would happen as it relates to having a new commissioner of police. I know there are two, let's say, I don't want to use the word arbitrary, but two people that have been posited, Kevin Blake, Dr. Kevin Blake, and Fitz Bailey. I don't know either of the two really. So I don't know if it's any of the two it's going to be even. But we will see. Notwithstanding, one of my favorite people on the planet, Renato, Cardova, what have you, Adams. I may not get all of it. But he said something very fundamental that, I'm slowly trying to understand politics and everything politically related. And he's saying that listen, it's going to be worse. Before I get into what Renato Adams had stated, former senior superintendent of police, they were showing the murder rates during the tenure of Major General Anthony Williams, and it increased in 2018, 2019. I think there was a slight reduction in 2020, slight. Then it went up back in 2021. Yeah, 2021, where it was 1,400 and something. And then 2022, it was escalating. And then it dropped again in 2023. Was it? Yes. It dropped to 1,300 and something in 2023. So, but it really, the curve would have been very, very short or minimal. Like it probably went like this, and it went more like this, and then kind of stayed a little bit, and then kind of barely come back down, because the murder was really high. It's not, you didn't see any big drops, any big dip, and I'm going to tie that in with what former senior superintendent of police Adams said. He said, look here, it probably will get even worse. It has nothing to do with whomever you put there. The problem that we're having is that, one, the criminals are more protected than law-abiding citizens. Two, too many international or external forces are governing, guiding, leading, telling us what to do. That is what he's saying. He has posited. So the international forces are the ones that are telling us to what to do, maybe who to put in and what not. So he was saying it does not matter who you put in there. The situation is either going to remain the same in terms of crime being at an all high, it escalating and so on. And the reality is that criminals are more protected. He said something very fundamental. He said they know the criminals. They know the criminals. He kept repeating that. They know the criminals. They all know them. They know the gangs. They know them all. But they've allowed international external forces to tell us what to do. So it's almost like we're puppets, and they have the puppeteer pulling the strings and doing all kinds of things. That's very, very disheartening. I won't pretend as if I've never heard that conversation. before, you know, but to hear the former senior superintendent of police, saying it, I guess he's out now, so probably feel more compelled or feel, less uncomfortable to say it because he's no longer so called in the system. So, he, I guess, spilled the beans, as they would put it. And that's a very sad reality. This is a man who has made his name in terms of security. I'm not talking about a security guard. I'm talking about, just the security as it relates to the citizens of Jamaica. Well trained man, bright man, a man who is knowledgeable. With age it brought wisdom to him. There were in his tenure, in his reign, a number of gangs and a number of gang related people and leaders and so on were really in fear of this man. He was no nonsense. I know somebody who said, boy, I was looking at something online when they were saying who you think would be the next commissioner, who should be. And they had Fitz Bailey and Deputy Commissioner there, Fitz Bailey, and that Kevin Blake gentleman there. And, some people, they said they're not familiar with Kevin Blake, some are familiar with Fitz, and, people are going to give their not so positive comments as it relates to Mr. Bailey. But a lot of the comments say, bring back Renato, Cardova, Valentino. Yes, I was trying to remember that one. Valentino, Adams. Bring him back. Adams. He had quite a number of support where that was concerned. I was shocked in a sense, because I'm saying he has been out of the system for a little while, and for them to say bring him back, it was sort of a pleasant surprise for me. I just like that. I admire him, let me put it that way. He really was a kind of a fearless man. I always admire people who are fearless, and these are people who God tend to use when you look in the book of old. A lot of fearless men and women, like we're talking about Esther, we're talking about oh God, the king, the human king of king, human. Please, I'm not calling him instead of in terms of in the place of Jesus. I'm talking on a human sense, we're talking. And that's King David. Brilliant king, a fearless man, and many other people, they were fearless for the kingdom of God. So usually when you have a man or a woman like that, they're unstoppable, and they will effect change, and they will create changes and transformation in the lives of people. So, I'm always always of Renata, Cardova, Valentino, Adams, and he said some real fundamental things. He said it doesn't matter who you put in. I'm sure that Major General Anthony Anderson tried his best, but crime just kept going up. Generally speaking, that was just the reality. Especially murders. They may have gone down a little. You saw a little change in 2023, and I think 2020 you saw a little dip, but it wasn't really anything significant. A reduction is a reduction. Thank God it's less people, if it's even one life. But we have to keep it real. You have to see a big chunk being bitten in the pie for us to say, okay, you're a change creator, you create change. Because one of the realities in life, when we get older, we tend to look back, we do a lot of reminiscing. And one of the things with the human mind is that when you start to reminisce, and all that you're thinking about is what you did not do, or the things that you could have done, and they're in the majority. Or you were a sellout, or you were easily bought, you had no integrity, and I'm not talking about anybody specific right now, I'm just speaking in general, please. And you really did not effect change. It can sometimes blow your mind. That's why sometimes you wonder when people reach a certain age, or they develop all kinds of illness. Sometimes it's the things that they should have done and they did not do, and the things they should not have done they end up doing. And sometimes they were warned, and they were warned, and and they just didn't listen. It's just an unfortunate situation. Anyway, whoever comes in, what can I say? What can I say? Mr. Cardova, Valentino, Adams spoke. Outside of all of that, it has to be divine intervention. God himself who will create some changes for us. Guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message.